It was supposed to be an ordinary Sunday afternoon, the kind where the air is calm, the leaves whisper in the breeze, and kids laugh faintly in the distance. I was setting out lemonade on the porch when I heard something. A muffled cry. At first I thought it was just kids playing, but then my heart stopped. It was my daughter's voice. "Daddy, help," she cried, her voice breaking in panic. I dropped the pitcher so fast the glass shattered across the porch. Sprinting across the yard, my eyes scanned frantically, and then I saw it. There, near the edge of the woods that bordered our HOA community, stood a sight that made my blood run cold. My little girl, my 8-year-old Emily, was tied to a tree with rough ropes, her face streaked with tears, and standing smugly a few feet away was Karen's son, Trevor. 17, tall and arrogant, the kind of boy who had always been a problem. "What are you doing?" I roared, rushing toward them. Trevor smirked, arms crossed. "Relax, old man. It's just a joke. Boys will be boys. Joke?" My daughter was trembling, her small wrists red from the ropes digging in. This wasn't a joke. This was cruelty. I knelt to untie Emily, my hands shaking with fury. "Emily, baby, it's okay." "Daddy's here," Trevor scoffed. "She cried too much when we were playing. Thought I'd teach her a lesson?" I turned on him, my voice low and dangerous. "If you ever lay a finger on my daughter again, you'll regret it." That's when Karen herself appeared, strutting across the grass in her oversized sunglasses and entitled glare. "What's going on here?" she demanded, her tone already accusatory. I pointed at Trevor. "Your son tied up my daughter like an animal?" Karen waved her hand dismissively. "Oh, for heaven's sake. It's just kids having fun. You're overreacting. Emily probably asked for attention, and Trevor's just playful. Playful." I shouted. He traumatized her. "Look at her wrists." Karen crossed her arms and smirked. "Call your lawyer if you want. Or better yet, call your wife." Oh wait, isn't she always away on business? Her words cut like a blade. She knew my wife was out of state, and she thought she could mock us, minimize us. But then I remembered something. Something she didn't know. I looked her straight in the eye and said, "No, I'm calling her father." Her smug grin faltered. "Her father? What do you mean?" I stood tall, my voice steady with quiet fire. "You know Emily's father? My wife's father. He's not just some man you can push around. He's a retired Delta Force commander. And believe me, Karen, you don't want him to hear what your son just did." For the first time, Karen's confidence cracked, and deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. Karen's smirk flickered, but she still tried to hold her ground. "Delta Force? Really?" She scoffed. "Do you think his military stories scare me? This is a neighborhood, not a battlefield." Trevor didn't hurt anyone. Emily clung to me, burying her face in my shirt. Her small voice trembled. "Daddy, it was scary. He said he was going to leave me there all night. That broke me inside." I kissed her forehead. "You're safe now, baby. I'll never let that happen again." I turned back to Karen, my patience gone. "You think this is just boys being boys? Let me tell you something. That phrase has excused cruelty for far too long. Not today." Trevor rolled his eyes. "Oh, come on, man. She's such a crybaby." I barely tied her up tight. It was funny. I stepped forward, and for the first time he actually took a step back. My voice dropped, sharp as steel. "Listen carefully, Trevor. What you did is called assault. You crossed a line you can't uncross." Karen jumped in, her voice shrill. "Don't you dare threaten my son. You're just trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. Do you know how ridiculous you sound?" Tied to a triads, practically a game. My fists clenched, but instead of yelling, I pulled out my phone, calm, steady, deliberate. I looked Karen dead in the eye and said, "Fine. If you think this is a game, let's see what law enforcement thinks. Or better yet, let's see what Emily's grandfather thinks, Karen's." Face shifted just a flicker of uncertainty. Emily looked up at me with tear-filled eyes. "Daddy, are you really going to call Grandpa?" I nodded softly, brushing her hair back. "Yes, sweetheart. Grandpa needs to know." Karen laughed nervously. Oh, please. What's he gonna do? March in here and bark orders? You're bluffing. But I wasn't bluffing. Not even close. I dialed the number. The line clicked, and that familiar, deep, commanding voice answered. Son-in-law. This is Jack. Everything all right? For a moment, my throat tightened. Jack wasn't just a grandfather. He was a man forged by fire, a retired Delta Force commander who had led men through the worst corners of the world. I swallowed. Jack, it's Emily. She's okay now, but Trevor Karen's boy, he tied her to a tree. There was silence. Then a sharp inhale, and then that low, deadly calm. He did what? Karen flinched just hearing the voice from my phone. Jack, I swear, I said quickly, she's safe with me now. But Trevor thought it was funny. And Karen says it's no big deal on the other end. Jack's tone turned into iron. Put Karen on the phone. I raised a brow at her. He wants to talk to you. Karen hesitated, then snatched the phone, still trying to look composed. Hello, Jack. Is it? Listen, I think there's been a little misunderstanding. Kid's roughhouse, you know. Jack's voice cut through, sharp as a blade. Even through the phone, it made the air heavy. No. You listen to me, ma'am. I don't tolerate abuse disguised as play. You let your boy terrorize my granddaughter, and you dismiss it like it's nothing. I've seen men like you raise boys like him. It never ends well. You want to keep talking about games? Fine, because when I arrive, this game is over. Karen's smugness shattered. She handed me the phone back like it was burning her hand. Trevor muttered, "What's he gonna do?" "Old guys can't scare me." I looked at him and smiled faintly. "You'll find out soon enough. He's already on his way." Karen's lips trembled, but she tried one last jab. "You wouldn't dare bring him here. That's intimidation." I met her eyes, steady and unflinching. "No, Karen, that's called being a father." The hours between that phone call and Jack's arrival felt like the longest of my life. Emily stayed curled against me on the porch swing, clutching her stuffed rabbit for comfort. Every time she shivered, my anger deepened. Karen, however, tried to regain her arrogance. She stood in the driveway, sunglasses perched back on, whispering furiously to Trevor. I caught bits of it. "Don't say anything. He can't touch you. It'll all blow over." But Trevor wasn't so confident anymore. His bravado had cracks. Every now and then, he glanced toward the street like he was waiting for a storm to roll in, and then it happened. The distant growl of an engine. A black pickup truck rolled into the neighborhood, its tires crunching against the pavement with deliberate weight. The air itself seemed to stiffen. Emily's eyes lit up through her tears. Grandpa. The door opened, and out stepped Jack. He wasn't wearing a uniform. He didn't need one. His presence alone carried authority. Broad shoulders, a steady gait, eyes sharp as steel. The kind of man who didn't have to raise his voice to command a room. Karen muttered under her breath. Oh, good grief. But there was fear in her tone now. Jack walked straight to Emily first. He knelt down, brushing her cheek gently. "Baby girl, are you all right?" Emily's voice cracked. "He tied me up, Grandpa. Said he was going to leave me there." Jack's jaw tightened. He kissed her forehead. "Not on my watch. Never again." Then he stood, and when he turned to Trevor, the warmth vanished from his face. "You," he said, his voice low, steady, and terrifyingly calm. "Step forward." Trevor shifted uncomfortably, trying to smirk. "I didn't mean anything. It was just a prank." Jack's eyes narrowed. "Pranks end with laughter. What you did ends with nightmares. Do you understand the difference?" Karen jumped in, waving her arms. "This is ridiculous." "He's a child, Jack. You're intimidating him." Jack turned slowly toward her, and for the first time Karen actually stumbled back a step. "Intimidation?" he said softly. "Ma'am, if I wanted to intimidate, you'd know. This isn't intimidation, it's correction. And frankly, it's something you should have done years ago." Karen flushed red. "How dare you! How dare you!" Jack snapped, his voice suddenly sharp, cutting the air like a knife. "How dare you defend cruelty? How dare you excuse abuse? A child, my granddaughter, was bound, terrified, and humiliated. And your response? Boys will be boys. Do you know how many boys grow into broken men because of mothers who say that? For a moment, silence. Even the neighbors, who had begun peeking from behind curtains, didn't make a sound. Trevor muttered. You can't tell me what to do. You're not my dad. Jack's gaze hardened. No, I'm not your father. But you should pray every night you had one who taught you respect, responsibility, and restraint. Because right now, son, you have none. Karen tried again, weaker this time. You have no authority here. This is an HOA matter, not a family one. Jack chuckled darkly, shaking his head. Lady, you don't get it? When it comes to protecting family, there is no HOA, no boundary, no line you can draw. There's only right and wrong. And today, you and your boy chose wrong. Trevor shifted uncomfortably. Finally lowering his gaze, Jack stepped closer to him, voice low so only he and Trevor could hear. One day, if you don't change, you'll tie the wrong person to the wrong tree. And when that day comes, nobody will be able to protect you. Trevor swallowed hard, his face pale. Emily tugged at Jack's sleeve. Grandpa, can we go home now? Jack softened instantly, scooping her into his arms. Yes, sweetheart. We're going home. But before leaving, he turned back to Karen one last time. Fix your son. Because next time I won't be here with just words. Karen's face drained of color. And as Jack walked away with Emily in his arms, the entire street knew something inside Trevor's world had just changed forever. That night, our home felt heavier than usual. Emily had fallen asleep, curled up beside me on the couch, her little stuffed rabbit pressed tight to her chest. Every so often, she'd whimper, and I'd gently stroke her hair. Jack sat across from me, silent, his face thoughtful but stern. Finally, he spoke. You did the right thing, calling me. But this isn't over for her. Trauma doesn't end when the ropes come off. I nodded, my throat tight. I know, she's strong, but seeing her tied there like that, Jack, I'll never forget it. Jack leaned forward, his voice softer now. Neither will she. But what matters most is how you help her heal. She needs to know she's safe, that no one will ever dismiss her pain again. His words struck deep. I realized then this wasn't just about Trevor or Karen, it was about the message we pass on to our children the next morning. The neighborhood was buzzing. Word had spread fast. Some neighbors quietly nodded at me in support. Others whispered behind closed doors, too afraid of Karen's wrath to speak openly. But what surprised me most was when Karen herself showed up on my porch. She wasn't wearing her usual sunglasses or smug expression. Her hair was disheveled, her eyes puffy. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked human. Can we talk? She asked quietly. I hesitated, but Jack, who was sipping coffee at the table, gave me a small nod. So I stepped outside. Karen twisted her hands together, her voice trembling. I didn't sleep last night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Trevor tying up your little girl. And then I saw her crying. I stayed silent, letting her speak. I always thought defending him, covering for him, was love. I thought if I told him he was just being a boy, it would protect him. But now, her voice cracked. Now I see I was raising him to be cruel. Tears slid down her face, and she whispered, I'm sorry. For a long moment, I didn't know what to say. Anger still burned inside me, but so did something else, pity. Because in her own twisted way, she had been blind, not evil. Finally, I said quietly, Karen, sorry. Won't erase what happened. But if you mean it, prove it. Teach Trevor to respect others. Teach him that strength isn't in hurting, but in protecting. She nodded, trembling. I'll try. I don't know how, but I'll try. Behind me, Jack stepped onto the porch. His voice was calm but firm. Change isn't words, ma'am. It's action. If you want to save your boy, you need to start now. Karen looked at him, her eyes filled with something I'd never seen before. Fear mixed with respect. That evening, I sat with Emily in her room. She was drawing with crayons, but her picture wasn't sunshine or flowers. It was a tree with ropes. My chest ached. "Emily," I whispered, "do you want to talk about it?" She looked up at me with wide, innocent eyes. "Daddy, was I bad? Is that why he tied me?" I gathered her into my arms, holding her tight. "No, baby girl. You were never bad. What he did was wrong. You are loved. You are safe. And you will always be protected." She buried her face against me, whispering promise. I kissed the top of her head. Promise. As I tucked her into bed that night, Jack's words echoed in my mind. Trauma doesn't end when the ropes come off, but something else echoed louder: Millie's need for safety, love, and protection. And I knew I'd spend the rest of my life making sure she never doubted that again. Sometimes neighbors, friends, even parents will excuse cruelty as just a game or boys being boys. But every rope leaves a mark, sometimes on the skin, sometimes on the heart. As parents and grandparents, it's our duty to teach not just toughness, but kindness. If this story touched you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And in the comments below, tell me, what lessons did your parents or grandparents teach you that still guide you today? Because in the end, the ropes we choose to cut are to define the kind of people our children will become. This story is just the beginning. There is so much more ahead. Subscribe to the channel to join me on this journey.